Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
How are you, Betsy?
I'm well. I can't
Ex-
believe that we're looking at August pretty soon.
I know. July 22nd. Wow. Just one more weekend of July for us
Huh?
here, and then we're into August already.
How,
Wow.
how was how was your thon?
My thon last week was very good. Very good. Now, I didn't get as many done as I was hoping, but the
Mhm.
Friday, Saturday, I had pretty much to myself and the thawning,
Yeah,
which doesn't usually happen. I didn't
yeah.
have to play for any funerals or anything. But then Sunday was a very busy day with away from the computer. So I didn't reach the total I was hoping for, but still I got lots of stuff done. And what about yourself? How'd you do?
Yeah, well, I knew that I was going to have a lot of extra things that I had to do last weekend, so I kept my bar low
Oh, yes.
and manageable. So I hit it, and I did add to my CC7 a little bit.
That's
So
good.
oh, good. Yeah,
Yeah. I went up about 50, I think. So that was good.
that's great.
Yeah, it was. And I was working on my wife's family. So they're all her relatives. So she went up a lot and
Hmm.
I went up mostly, except for I don't know if there was a few that were maybe beyond the seventh degree for me, but
Exactly. Yeah.
not many because it's hard to get that far back. But anyways, we've got lots of people here, 31 right now and counting. So hello to everyone who's here and everyone who's watching this after the fact, the recording. So that's great. Christine Miller was the first one to arrive this morning. Then Mary Schleppy, Lisa Gervais from Ottawa area, Susie Carta, April Rowland, John Tyner from Ireland. Hi there, John. We might need your help with some pronunciation later on in the live cast. Mark Lehman, Janine Lee Eiselman, Sharon Hayes, Donna Gerber, Alice Thompson is here, James Smith from Marseille. Bonjour, James. Comment ça va? And Sandy Paddock from Appalachia. How you doing, Sandy? Enjoying your biscuits, I hope.
Sandy.
Sandy, I got to do a shout. Sandy, her bingos are just wonderful, and so she had Team Poland yesterday, and Project Poland, and also the Apps Project with Jamie Nelson last night at 6. I watched that, and I wasn't able to watch it live, but she and Jamie did an excellent job. And Sandy did a whirlwind tour of a bunch of WikiTree apps. And,
I know. I was watching it after the fact later, and it was like I was doing some other things, and I kept having to run over to the iPad. I'm like,
yeah,
what are you doing? Oh, that's so cool. So
yeah,
thank you
that's
for
right.
that, Sandy and Jamie.
That's right. Yeah. So there's very, very cool stuff there. So that's great. Way to go, Sandy. There. Oh, and one thing that she got Jamie to mention was, so the biggest question, of course, in terms of the whole apps project is in the extension is the WikiTree browser extension, and we've had it for Chrome and Firefox for a number of months now, and it is apparently it's in line to get into the Apple App Store by the end of July. So now, I mean, it's a process. So
Yeah.
it's going into the store, but Apple has to approve it. So sometimes there's a little bit of back and forth, but it's in the pipeline. So that is going to happen for Safari users. So very exciting.
That's great news.
Yeah, yeah. Who else has come? Susan Henderson has come along and joined us. Crystal J, Hilary Gatsby from Wales, Dame Ellen the First, Patty LaPlante, Patricia Jackson. Patty must be tired from last week, and she did amazing.
Yes, those numbers were just astounding, Patty.
Astounding. Patricia, Aaron Solstyak Robertson and Stephen Tomasovitz. GSL is here. Chris Feriolo. Buongiorno, Chris. And I think I've said hello to everyone who's here and hello to everyone who comes after.
Yeah.
And again, everyone who's watching after the fact.
Lisa asked, "Where's Mags?"
Where Mags is
Time.
she doing another conference today? I think she's doing another. No, it's her family reunion. She's got a family reunion today. So she's celebrating genealogy face to face with a bunch of her cousins. So that's very exciting. So we wish Mags all the best in her family reunion. Hope everything goes smoothly. There was a question as people were, getting ready to join us. James asked, "Do I need to subscribe to follow the live cast?" And the answer, which Sandy and a few others have already answered, is no. You can watch the live cast free. As long as you can find it on YouTube, no problem. But if you subscribe, the advantage is that then you'll get notified. Well, you have to subscribe and you ring the bell or whatever. You can choose what level of notification you want. But if you do that, then you'll get a pop-up message saying, well, this is going live, or, you know, there's something scheduled in 10 minutes. So it's easy to not miss things.
I find that feature really, really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. So.
Oh, look at this. Did you see this? What Erin put? That her toddler keeps offering. Why can't I show that?
Oh, because I keep. I'll stick my hands up. Oh, I'll take your cookie. Oh, no, I don't want to take cookies from a toddler. But that's very sweet. Oh, hi there, toddler. That is so cute. But the other button you can click on down below is you can click the like button, because the more people who do that, then the more likely this video is to be popular and get suggested to others. So there we go.
Awesome.
Do you want to take?
Well,
is there a question of the week?
There is a question of the week, and here it is. It is: who was one of your favorite ancestors to research? And there were as of last night, there were 39 answers. I didn't even, I read all of them. They were fascinating. I didn't even get over to Facebook. I'm sorry if your wonderful answer was over on Facebook, but there's lots of great stuff to talk about in what was on the G2G post. I did notice a couple of themes as I was reading through all of these. Theme number 1, fun and frustration go hand in hand. So sometimes those ancestors who just made you tear your hair out, it was kind of fun. And I can agree with that from personal experience. The second, people were commenting on how if they had been researching genealogy for a long time, that the advent of the internet just suddenly galvanized what they were doing and what they were able to find, and how much they appreciated that. I was just continually impressed by some of the people who really went into detail with the research journey with their ancestor. I mean, just very inspiring, you know, the paths and lengths to which they went to figure things out. And theme number 4, bad guys and gals are interesting. You know, they say that I've heard actors say that it's really hard to play a good character. You know, someone who's pure and nice, and you know, it's much more interesting and in a way easier to play, you know, a bad guy.
Yes.
So, I'm not going to be able to highlight every single one, but please go and read all of these, and we'll look at a few. Marion Cerruti said that her favorite is her third great-grandfather, Captain James Stillwell, who was a ferry boat captain on Staten Island, and his son was also a ferry boat captain, and his daughter was a genealogist and a real estate professional. So that's the generation where they have photos up to his generation. And there's also a street named after them in the New York area named Stillwell Avenue. Martha Murphy said, this is the fun and frustration part. She was attached to one of her favorites is Thomas Armin, because of what he said in his Revolutionary War pension application. He said his occupation, if he can be said to have any, is a tiller of the ground.
Nice.
Yeah. Georgia Cummings, her favorite is Brian William Hennessy, born in Capucin, Capucin in Ireland, and he died in Wellington, India. So he had a military career. So he served in a number of battles. He had 7 children born in Greece, China, India, and Salford. Lancashire. Where can you imagine following all those birth records?
Wow.
That would really challenge you.
Yes.
I thought this was neat. When he retired from the military, he became a traveling performer and illusionist doing magical acts.
No way.
He was known on stage as Professor Henneke. He and his wife, Rebecca, and his younger children sailed from India to Moreton Bay in Queensland, Australia, landing there in 1864. He bought a lease on a hotel, and he continued to travel around Australia and India performing with his lady assistant. So
wow.
Talk about a career change.
That is wild. I just looked them up because it was the Hennessy family that the Irish research I was doing earlier. Yeah. But it looks like it's from a different county, so it's probably not related to my Hennessys.
Yeah.
My friend.
But always worth checking, right?
Yeah, I know. I thought if he's related, this is another cool find that I should share with my friends. But
yeah.
So.
Lula Sinnott wrote about her great aunt Mary Ella Tuttle of Lenoir, North Carolina. She was one of 5 nurses who graduated from the first nursing class of Johns Hopkins Hospital. Now, I was wondering about this because Johns Hopkins is in Baltimore, the medical school, but she says Johns Hopkins in Yonkers, New York, which is a stone's throw from where I grew up.
Oh.
I don't know. In the 1800s, she attended school there in the 1800s. She was chosen by the DAR and the Army to be one of 1,083 nurses in the U.S. to be chosen as a nurse in the Spanish-American War and served in Cuba and Florida. So, and Lula says I met her when she was a little girl, a little girl of 5 when she came to visit my grandmother. Yeah, it's so wonderful when you have these memories, even if you didn't appreciate them at the time.
Yeah.
You understand the significance. Pauline Dowling. Oh, I'm always researching my maternal 12th great-grandfather, John Alden. He was the cooper on the Mayflower. I find him to be mysterious. That is his family prior to sailing. His family prior to sailing is a complete mystery. He was educated and is thought to have been related to the ship's captain. Also intriguing are his contributions to our nation. Now this one, I dug a little deeper. I'm going to show you the picture.
Okay.
Eileen Hetherington Brown writes about her 4th great-grandmother, Christina Leonardo Roof Hall, born in 1760. She was a midwife, herbalist, expert horsewoman, and delivered babies on the frontier to both Indians and white settlers. She charged $3 a baby for free, includes pre and post care. After she and her husband established a beautiful, prosperous farm on the frontier in Hubbard, Ohio, where they helped build the Corner House Christian Church, which still stands today. She passed away in 1861 at the age of 101 after a long life well lived. And there's a picture of the home they built. And here is a picture of Christiana. And I think this was when she was 90.
Wow.
And notice the beautiful knitted little gloves.
Yeah.
She looks like a tough lady. I would not want to get on the wrong side of her.
Wow.
So
amazing.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Who is this? John Baldwin. Okay, I'm going to have to condense here.
Yes.
but this was one of the ones where I was really interested to read the research journey and how he figured things out. So this is all about John's his Went line in Kansas City, Kansas, and I don't know if you know, Greg, but there's a Kansas City, Missouri, and there's a Kansas City, Kansas.
I
So,
did know that.
yeah. So it's a little confusing.
Uh-huh.
But I guess actually here he's talking about his the wife of his first cousin, and her name was Alta, and she married, there was a child, but then she got tuberculosis, and the family ended up in Arizona, where a lot of people went to recover from tuberculosis because they thought that
Because it's drier.
the dry air would help. And so she was in a sanatorium there and very sadly died. And so then John was able to trace what happened with her daughter. And the daughter was adopted by extended family, I think, and changed her name, but apparently did stay in touch with her biological father. And so it's just a really fascinating story. I can't do it justice. I worked backwards there. And there are 41 answers. Okay, well, I'm not going to get to all of them, but D. I didn't see D in the chat. D is often.
Oh, no.
No.
Margaret joined us after we started the question, and Victor.
Yeah.
I didn't see D yet.
Okay. Yeah, D wrote about her dad and his dad, and I've seen her profiles for them. They're beautifully done, and she's linked in here. So have a look. They're both in Milwaukee, I believe. Murray Maloney wrote about Guillaume Capella. Guillaume. Yeah. He said when he first found the profile, it was short, filled with misinformation, and he worked with Cindy Cooper of the Acadians Project, rehabilitated the profile, and learned a lot about the man along the way. Unfortunately, there are not many records left from the 1700s in the Gaspé region, so we lost track of him after 1705. That is so, that makes me so frustrated when you lose someone.
Yes.
They vanish.
Yeah. I know, yeah.
But
Murray's one of our fellow Canadians.
Is Murray Canadian? I didn't know.
Yeah. I think he just lives a couple hours west of me, and he's been helping out a lot with the browser extension.
Oh, I know that, and he comes to the new member Zooms, and he knows a lot about, well, a lot of things, but especially DNA. And yeah, but I guess I never asked where he was located. Yeah. So he was present at the Guillaume, not Murray, was present at Quebec City during the siege of Quebec.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Oh, and that's funny. He had cousins who were fighting on the other side of the siege of Quebec.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, Americans have that a lot in your genealogy, right? People from both sides of the Civil War.
Civil War or Revolutionary War, too.
Oh, yeah. But I haven't seen a lot that have the same thing. But of course, some would. I mean, statistically, some must have people who fought on the side of the British and then the French.
Sure.
I just hadn't thought of that before. That's very cool. Wow. Yeah. That's neat.
And then there was some conversation about that. It's intriguing. Dorothy O'Hare has had fun and frustration with her great-grandfather, John Hogan. There are numerous records of his years with the Boston Fire Department in the early 20th century. And another wonderful WikiTree helped me find records of his service in the British Royal Navy. But she can't find his immigration records or anything before his Navy service. So, well, here's hoping that more records will come to light. Susan Hansen's father is John Wayne's 9th cousin. And this
really?
Yes. And I did not know. I had to go down a little rabbit hole here. I didn't realize that John Wayne is the stage name. So his real name is Marion Robert Morrison. So I had to look that up. Now, Ray is opening with an apology, which was completely unnecessary. Sorry to be boring, but as a combat veteran myself, I especially enjoy researching my relatives who were in combat. I don't think that's boring at all, and
No.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
For it comes from a long line of warriors from my fourth great grandfather in the French and Indian and Revolutionary Wars to 8th century Vikings dying in battle in Estonia, as he discovered through mtDNA and y-DNA on both sides.
Wow.
So he has just this amazing ancestral military resume that you can read about. Louise Hill wrote about Hiram Bias from the Ozarks because he was definitely an outlaw. This one was really something. He burned his dead wife up in a house fire instead of burying her. He murdered another wife and got out of it. I have the court transcript somewhere. He was hiding from a deputy in Oklahoma, and when the deputy pulled back the cover, he killed him. Don't know what happened with that. He was a bootlegger and probably a lot of other things. Then he came back to Duggansville in Ozark County, Missouri, and died, of all things, the flu. I always wished he had died in a shootout to make the story a real Wild West show. He is buried in Hart Cemetery there, along with other Bias and surname relatives.
Wow.
So
that's amazing. Wow.
That just what she wrote is just amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. David Wally wrote about Sir Douglas Mawson, the Antarctic explorer, and there was like a family lore that they were related. I guess yes. There's Mawson is one of his family names, and they had always said, "Oh, we're related to this explorer." And he dug and dug and dug, and after 30 years of intensive research, he has concluded there's no connection in recorded history.
Aww.
P.S. Anyone interested in books on Sir Douglas Mawson?
I'm going cheap. Oh, that's funny. That's a great.
Richard Cheek wrote about his fourth great grandfather, William Martin Cheek. He was born in North Carolina in 1752. And he and at least one of his brothers were kicked out of his Quaker meeting for joining the South Carolina militia during the Revolutionary War. He lived to be 93, had at least 3 wives and more than 20 children. Beats Bach.
Wow.
That's hard to do.
Yeah.
He married his third wife when he was 68 and had his last son when he was 73. Died in 1845 and is buried in Franklin County, Georgia. Wow. Just a few more, I think. April.
I like how she starts it.
Yes, thanks for asking, Eowyn.
Yeah.
And somebody else, I may have already gone by it, said, thank you to whomever comes up with all these great questions for us to talk about.
Yeah.
Which I thought I agree.
Yeah, Eowyn's in the chat, so thanks.
Oh, yes, thank you, Eowyn, and hi. Oh, this one, did I? I also pulled this one up to show you. My favorite ancestor is William Marshall, my 23rd time great-grandfather. He started life as an insignificant second son and died 73 years later, having been the most celebrated knight of his age. He was an advisor to kings and is
that Henry the very first?
Henry III. He was.
Oh, okay.
He was when Henry III was a child king. He was regent.
Okay.
Yes,
but he was advisor to Henry I, though.
What does it say that?
Yeah, maybe. After he was he was the regent.
Oh yes, he was. It says he was advisor to 5 English kings: Henry I, young Henry, I guess the third, Richard, John, and Henry III. Okay.
Wow.
Made a 2-year pilgrimage to Jerusalem and is buried as a Knight Templar in the Templars Round Chapel in London. So this is Marshall 4, and it's Marshall with 1 L.
Oh, interesting.
It's a gorgeous profile.
Oh, look at that.
And he is my 24th great grandfather.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the number after Marshall? Let me check that out.
4.
4.
Marshall 1L 4. Yep.
Kill one, all four.
Yeah, born, it's one of a pre-1500 profile. Those are very, very tough.
He's my first cousin, 27 times removed.
Ah, great.
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting. Yeah. So this is filled with, it's a very nice bio, very comprehensive photos.
Mm.
So, wow.
Look at that.
Very cool. For your profile of the day reading.
Yeah.
And let's see who else. Kathy Gant wrote about her husband's biological grandmother, Lula Pollock. She this sounds like a tough one to research. She herself was a ward of another family, 4 marriages / relationships, children here and there, and not all of them went with her. So yeah, that's very, very difficult to trace when she disappears and then reappears in another state with another husband and 3 more children.
Mm-hmm.
But through DNA, she's found children from several of the relationships. So
Nice.
good luck, Kathy. That's tough.
There's another cousin for you.
What was that?
Susan's another cousin because she also shares him as the 24th grandfather.
Oh, cool. Anonymous Dudley wrote about Alet Waller. Yeah. I believe I was first to provide an online profile for him. He is the only Waller with the given name of Alet. The Wallers had a tendency to repeat given names in the generations, and it's so pleasant to have, a distinctive name.
Yes.
The pirate, Thomas Morgan.
Oh.
Was mentioned by Lee Pelton. And one more, the last one.
Okay.
Catherine Astrom writes about Nancy Carolyn Humphrey, who was her great-great-grandmother, because she wants to write a book about her.
Nice.
Yeah, she first fought, she had an unhappy first marriage, fought her husband for custody, and took her 5 years in bribes of first money and then land, but she succeeded in getting custody of the children, married husband number 2, and they moved to Chicago and ran a barber shop. And so to condense here, basically one of her children also became stayed in the barber business. And so Catherine was able to connect with him. Nancy herself moved on out west, and they became involved with the spiritualist community. So a very, very fascinating research story. As you can see, I'm quite dusty from all the rabbit holes I went last night.
Oh, very well. Wow. So you have you have got more cousins here who are related to the Marshalls. 23rd great grandfather for Susie Carta, Victor. Let's see. Oh, and more cousins. Yay!
Excellent. Love it.
When we were talking about famous people, Alice said that hers is Laodicea Langston Springfield, the Daughters of the American Revolution.
Yeah.
And at one point, that one apology started off, I'm sorry for being boring. Well, Chris, echoed what all of us were thinking, that no one's backstory is boring.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because it makes us, it's what made us who we are.
Yeah. His favorite so far is Alfred Hamill, who helped fix the boats of bootleggers. That's kind of fun. And as a programmer, I appreciate how Victor always greets us. Good $ time zone, everyone. So the $ time zone, that's like a variable in programming language. So basically you insert whatever time zone you're in, the appropriate greeting is what you should do in your mind. It's kind of...
Yes, because it is a little cumbersome to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
That's right. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Very efficient.
Very efficient. Yeah. So let's look at these profiles. So I'm going to do I don't know. My plan is to do a whirlwind tour of profiles because we missed the profiles of the week last week because we were doing the Connect-a-thon. And Betsy and I were talking beforehand, and we kind of feel bad. You know, the weeks when we have the Connect-a-thons, we lose out on all these good questions of the week and all these good profiles and stuff. So
yeah,
I thought I would just do a whirlwind tour of last week's profiles because they were carefully picked out and they're great people to celebrate and great profiles to celebrate. So I thought we would just quickly go through them. And so last week's profiles of the week were about apocalyptic authors. Which ones are you most closely connected to? And I'm not sure if that theme came up because of, you know, the forest fires that we've been having and, you know, the extra smoke and the crazy weather that we've been experiencing lately, or what the scoop is. But either way, that was the theme. And it's funny, I'm using the Chrome browser this week. And when I open tabs up, they always appear, they go from left to right. Anyways, so I end up going through the profiles in the reverse order in which they're listed if you're following along or if you even care. But if you're wondering why I'm not starting with Cormac McCarthy, it's because of that. In fact, did I remember to?
Well, I mean, you kind of mix it up, Greg. I mean,
sometimes I do mix it up. Yeah.
When you played that game.
The Connect. Yeah, that was a fun one. Yeah. That was fun.
Kept us on your toes.
I'm not doing it this week, but that was a fun thing. I'm gonna have to do that again sometime. And I didn't map these out on a Google map or on the WikiTree Plus map, just because I knew I had lots to go through. So we'll see. So H.G. Wells, Herbert George Wells. So that's an interesting. How many people in the chat actually knew that H.G. stood for Herbert George? I mean, some will, I'm sure, but I would not have been able to guess that. I don't think I knew the exact what the HG stood for. Anyways, born 1860. Did you know that?
I did not know, but I was just thinking that's like a really solid English name. Herbert.
It is. Yes. Yeah. I actually on my biological side, I have a great grandfather named Herbert. And Herbert is not a name that showed up in my adoptive family side. I'm all Donalds and Patricks and Josephs, Alexanders, but no Herberts. But now I have a Herbert. So there we go. Herbert George Wells, H.G. Wells, born 1866 in Bromley, Kent, England, and died on the 13th of August, 1946, age 79. Best known of the modern British writers, of course, his noticeable pieces of fiction: The War of the Worlds, The Time Machine, The Invisible Man, and The Island of Dr. Moreau. So, anyways, yes, he achieved his first fame with a series of fantastic scientific novels that were intended to express his social theories, but which people enjoyed as romances instead. So that's interesting. He intended them to be this way, but taken this way, but people
they hit in a different direction.
Yeah, they hit another chord. Yes. Yeah. So he died of unspecified causes at his home and then was cremated, and his ashes were scattered to the sea near Old Harry Rocks, which is kind of fun. Moving on. And sorry, I will be going through these quicker than normal. A cousin, I don't have many cousins in this week's lineup of profiles, but the 20th cousin 4 times removed, Upton Beale Sinclair, born in 1878 in Baltimore, died in 25th of November 1968 at age 90 in New Jersey. He was an American author who wrote close to 100 books in many genres, achieved popularity in the first half of the 20th century, acquiring particular fame for his classic muckraking novel, The Jungle. That's the one he's apparently most famous for. He married Meta Fuller, who'd become a childhood friend, and whose family was one of the first families of Virginia. And then he married Mary Craig Kimbrough. And they had met when she attended a lecture he held about that book, The Jungle. Interesting. That book can expose conditions in the U.S. meatpacking industry. And then he published another one, The Brass Check. That was another expose. So he is a man with every gift except humor and silence. That's an interesting quote. I don't know. I think I'd be upset if someone said I had every gift except humor. I
I
kind of
know.
like my sense of humor, and
Yeah.
I hate to
Well,
be.
no one is going to say that about
No
you.
one's going to say that. Okay, then. But then I don't have to worry. Whew. Neville Shute, Norway. So I don't know if you read any books by Neville Shute.
No, I haven't.
So the one he's most famous for, and the one that qualifies him for this category, is On the Beach, which I read when I was young, and it is a post-apocalyptic one, and it's not a happy. It's not a happy tale. But I did not realize that Neville Shute was his pen name, but he actually has a last name of Norway. So that's interesting. Born in 1899, the day after my birthday, on the 17th of January, but different year, obviously, in Ealing, London, England, and passed away on the 12th of January, 1960, at the age of 60 in Melbourne, just a few days shy of his 61st birthday. This is a lovely profile. It's got lots of stuff. A neat background here, which is of his bookcase, I think. It's so blown up, it's hard to tell. Yeah. But I think it's this picture here just expanded.
That's right? Right.
The book by Neville Shute.
I like that. Yeah.
It is neat. It's very neat. And there's the man himself. So, and it goes through, it's nice. It goes through the formative years, the military service. Interesting, when I looked at this, the person who created the profile, they used sort of a like their formatting, because they're of all lowercase. It stands out as distinct because that's not what most people use, right? You know what I mean? For the headings, the headings there.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of neat.
What about them?
Well, the fact that it's all lowercase. And not,
oh yeah, that's right? Sort of like a style thing.
It's a style. It's a style choice, which you don't see very often. And so when you do see it, it kind of stands out. So that's kind of that struck me as interesting, and it helps break up it's a very long profile. Yeah. But by doing it into these little sections, it breaks it up into much little more readable snippets. So well done, very neat. Anyways. Very impressive, but and the book was it's very well written, but it's a little depressing. So just a warning. Great book, very sad. Eric Arthur Blair. Now you talked about how John Wayne had a totally different birth name. Yeah. Here's another one of those scenarios, because you are probably more familiar with him under the name George Orwell.
Yes, I had. Wow.
Yeah.
How did he come up with George Orwell?
Yeah. So, well, let's see. He's known by his pen name, George Orwell. He was an English novelist, essayist, journalist, Animal Farm. What's the 1984? Those are two of his books. Let's see if it says here where he got his name from. So he's born in India. Let's see. He was shown. He's shown to be living in the sources declared. I don't see where it says how he picked his pen name.
There's got to be a story around it.
There's got to be a story. Okay. Maybe someone in the chat can read a little
research
closer.
That.
Where?
There's an assignment.
We should definitely include that in the profile, how he picked his pen name. Like in a lot of places, they tell you how they did that.
Right.
Anyways, he died on the 21st of January, 1950. An artery had burst in his lungs. And he was only 46 at the time. That's so young. Wow. Imagine, he was a great writer. Imagine what he could have done if he had.
Yeah, I mean, he was in his prime.
Yeah. But what he was actually, he wasn't really in his prime because he had tuberculosis. So his health had begun to decline in 47.
That's probably with TB. I mean, his lungs were very.
That's right. Yeah. And he actually got married in the hospital room in 49, and then in October, and then it was just a few months later that he passed away. So, yeah. Okay. Inquiring minds want to know where he got his pen name from, so let us know. Next we have Walter Michael Miller Jr., who is my 22nd cousin, twice removed. And he's the author of A Canticle for Leibowitz, which again is another post-apocalyptic meditation on technology and original sin, which is interesting because Leibowitz is talk about the main character is made a saint, Saint Leibowitz, and then it sort of follows from there. Moving along, Richard Burton Matheson is an American author and screenwriter, the son of Bertolf Matheson and Fanny Svenkinson, and the husband. Now, it doesn't say here what his book of fame was, but if we go back to here, it's I Am Legend, which I believe was made into a blockbuster movie a few years ago.
That rings a bell. Yes.
I Am Legend. And was Will Smith the actor in that one?
I don't want to lay down money on that.
Okay. Okay. I think that was. Wait a second. Here we are. Okay, so Lord Byron, who was a distant 16th cousin of mine. From the 1788, he was born and then passed away at age 36. Again, another really young author. All these tragic artists dying young, eh? 19th of April, 1824, in Greece, of all places.
I wonder if he was on holiday.
No, he was not on holiday because he actually, so he's known as a poet, leading figure in the Romantic movement. Don Juan was one of his lengthy poems, epic poems, Child Harold's Pilgrimage, and then a short lyric poem, She Walks in Beauty. But he became interested in and actually financed the Greek independence. They're the Greek state independence from the Ottoman Empire. He spent £4,000 to refit the Greek fleet. Now think, this is back in the 1800s.
That's
£4,000.
Wow,
that would have been huge back then.
Did he have some Greek ancestry? Why was he so passionate about it?
Well, when he wrote Don Juan, he said that he was a firm believer that revolution alone can save the earth from hell's pollution. So he obviously had this idea in his mind that, revolutionary things will shake up the status quo and make things better and stuff. So he put his money where his mouth was and financed this revolution to become independent. But he died. He died in Greece.
Huh.
I've given Greece my time, my means, my health, and now I give her my life. What could I do more? So interesting.
Our chat has been very, very busy. We have an answer.
Oh, yes.
Several people contributed, but there it is. George from St. George and Orwell after the River Orwell in Suffolk.
Interesting. So, okay.
And yes,
I didn't see George. Yeah, neat. Anyways, go on.
Yeah, that should be added. And Will Smith, yes.
I was right.
Yes, you were right.
Sometimes, these names get associated, but I don't always trust it. It's funny when I'm watching TV, I often have my iPad and IMDb handy so that if I see someone, who is that? What did we see that person in late?
Yeah.
Because, next, we have Octavia Estelle Butler, who is an African-American writer of science fiction, winner of multiple Hugo and Nebula Awards. She was the first science fiction writer to receive the MacArthur Fellowship, less formally known as the Genius Grant. So she can claim that she was a genius.
Was this the MacArthur Grant?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that before?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's very, very, if you get that,
you're a genius.
Yeah. They said so.
It's official. It's official.
Yes. They give you a T-shirt and everything.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, just like in the Master, right? With the green coat, there should be something like that. A T-shirt for them. Her works explore the nature of being human through the lenses of race, community membership, and spirituality. And her book of fame is the Earthseed novels, not a book, but a whole series on the Earthseed. Now, that's the one I'm not familiar with. Have you read those?
No, she's on my list because I've heard some very interesting talks and podcast episodes about her works. But I haven't read them yet.
Okay.
She's on my radar.
Okay. So it says she loves science fiction, but early on was disappointed in that genre's unimaginative portrayal of ethnicity and class, as well as by its lack of noteworthy female protagonists. So she went and she changed that by writing some herself. So there you go. Next, we have Ray Douglas Bradbury, 10th cousin, getting closer. Born in Waukegan, Illinois in 1920 and passed away just over 10 years ago on the 5th of June, 2012 at age 91. So luckily he lived to a nice age. Was born, now this is interesting. He refused to drive. He was in the, He refused to drive a car or fly, relating the decision to witnessing a fatal automobile accident as a child. And he insisted he wasn't afraid of machines or robots, but rather the humans controlling them without understanding the immense power they wielded. So imagine someone making it all the way to 91 and never driving or flying.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing. But he's done lots of stuff. The Martian Chronicles, I remember reading that early on. And of course, Fahrenheit 451 is another excellent one that he's done. Lots of stuff. Pulitzer Prize, he received a special one of those. Anyways, he died after a time in a wheelchair following a stroke, but lived a nice, full life. And then we have Margaret Atwood, great Canadian, 12th cousin.
Handmaid's Tale.
Yes. Wonderful poet, novelist, literary critic, essayist, environmental activist. She's an inventor. Did you know she invented something called the long pen device? And what that is, it means brilliant.
Yeah.
Because what it does, it allows you to sign books remotely. So you'd have one on your desk here at home, and then there'd be one in the warehouse or in the bookshop or whatever. And as you moved yours, it moved in sync. So you could sign your name, and it would sign it remotely over there.
That's pretty cool.
So you could use it, and she has used it for remote book signing.
Right.
So she doesn't have to leave home to go to a book signing. She could just be there. They could be Zooming, and she could sign the book, and it would sign it in the bookshop or wherever it was.
Wow.
Isn't that a cool invention?
That is.
It's brilliant.
Talk about necessity dictating creativity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So she's done lots of stuff. Amazing, amazing author. I've read some, but not all. My wife has read every single thing she's read. And of course, the most recent one, The Handmaid's Tale, which has now been turned into a TV show, is probably the one that most people are familiar with. But she's wonderful. And though Cormac apparently is the one did not show up, so let's just. He was born in 1933. Died just recently, so this is why because he just died a few weeks ago on the 13th of June. No Country for Old Men. Oh, that was one of his. I didn't realize that. Blood Meridian, another one. Born in Rhode Island, moved to Tennessee, and won the Faulkner Foundation Award for his first novel, The Orchard Keeper, and then just died in Santa Fe, New Mexico recently. So there we go.
If you're gonna pick a new name for yourself, I think picking, like a great Irish monarch, Cormac. I mean,
Cormac, yes.
Such a strong name.
Very strong, yeah. Wow. So now we can go on to the ones of this week.
And now for something completely different.
Yes. If only we had some Monty Python in here, that would be such an appropriate quote. But it is all about comedy, because which second city comedic alumni are you most closely connected to? And of course, the one that it's the profile. This profile. Alan Arkin is the one the headliner, if you will, in the comedy tour this week, because he just passed away at the end of June 29th, at the age of 89 in Carlsbad, San Diego, California. He was born on the 26th of March, 1934. American screenwriter, stage, screen actor, director, screenwriter, Emmy Award winner, Screen Actor Guild Awards, British Academy Film Awards, Golden Globe, Tony Award. He performed in Little Miss Sunshine, and is alumnus of the famed Second City Comedy Theater. So there we go. That's a more recent picture of him. This is obviously an early picture of him in this 1963. It's funny, eh?
Wow.
And I like this cutout from an ad in 1967.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Imagine he got to perform alongside Audrey Hepburn. That's very,
yeah,
very neat. So very cool. Alan Alda. Now I didn't realize he was involved with Second City, but he's of course his most famous role, I think, is of course playing Hawkeye in the TV show MASH.
Yes,
right,
yep.
Which he did for so long.
Right.
Because he was in. Now he wasn't in the original movie, I don't think, right? He wasn't the Hawkeye from the original, because there was a movie that was made first.
Yeah.
And then there was the TV show that lasted for many years.
Yeah.
So, but I think he was probably in almost every single episode. He was certainly in the cast from the beginning to the end.
When you think of MASH, if
you think of him.
Yeah. He's iconic.
Yeah. So he was, love him. And he's done some really neat, like dramatic roles since then. Right. So he's not just comedy, he's got lots of depth.
Yeah.
John Belushi, in keeping with our theme of artists who die young, passed away at age 33.
That was so sad.
Yeah. Born in Chicago in 1949, passed away 5th of March 1982, Los Angeles. And it was, I believe it was a drug overdose. Which was unfortunate. His tombstone says, "In loving memory of our son, he gave us laughter." But he did lots of stuff. National Lampoon, Radio Hour, many things. Yeah, a mixture of cocaine and heroin, a speedball, as it were. But genealogically speaking, he has very interesting roots. Is from Albanian immigrants. His mother was from a daughter of Albanian immigrants. And his father was also an Albanian immigrant from Kietze. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Actually, I did not look that one up. Sorry. Younger brothers Billy and Jim. Jim Belushi also, of course, went on to acting, and sister Marion. Peter Lawrence Boyle. As a cousin, and at first I didn't recognize him, but there's a bigger picture. Everybody Loves Raymond. So how was he related? Did he play a brother or a father to Raymond? Do you remember?
He's not the brother.
No, I can't. I'm not sure exactly, because I that's not one I watched a lot. So anyways,
yeah, I don't know.
Apparently, his best-known actor played the monster in the Young Frankenstein, the Mel Brooks movie.
Eric says he was the father.
The father. Okay.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks. Then John Candy. Oh, this one hurts. This one hurts that he passed away so young, because he was wonderful. I love John Candy.
He's your closest at 16.
He's a fellow Canadian.
Yeah.
I'm closer than Chris to John Candy. Yay. He grew up just around the corner. Like Newmarket's only an hour's drive away. Like, so he's my neighbor too. Born on Halloween, 1950. Now, isn't that appropriate? In Newmarket, Ontario. Passed away on the 4th of March, 1994 at age 43, Durango City, Mexico. Way too young, but Canadian actor, son of Sidney Candy, Evangeline Acker, working class Catholic of English, Scottish, Polish, and Ukrainian descent. Went to Neil McNeil Catholic High School in Toronto, where he wanted to be a football player, but an injury put the kibosh on that. Went to McMaster University in Hamilton, and he married his wife. He met on a blind date. I think that's kind of cool. And then it goes on through his career. He did lots of stuff. Of course, like all of these have a second city connection, but there's a strong Canadian flavor in a lot of these. And because there was a Toronto Second City troupe, that was very strong. Like Second City originally started in Chicago, but then there was a Toronto branch of it, or I don't know what you call it, franchise branch, whatever. And it had a lot of strong. So many of these profiles, these actors met in the Toronto one, and then from their troupe in Toronto, then they actually went on and created the SCTV television show.
Okay.
And so we have some amazing talent coming from out of here. But anyways, I think the one I love the most of his was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
That's a funny one. Yeah.
The one with him trying to get home for Thanksgiving. I mean, I can tell you, getting home for Thanksgiving in Canada is not nearly as chaotic as he portrayed it in this movie. But obviously in the States, it's a bit more of a big deal.
That's like, if I can avoid traveling that long weekend in November, I will do anything, because it's a madhouse.
Yeah.
Everybody's, trying to hit the same days.
Yeah. So, anyways, loved him, and very sad that he passed away too early. Steve Carell has not passed away. Of course, most famous for his time on the American version of The Office. But younger people might recognize his voice as Gru in The Despicable Me. But he was also part of Second City. And he's also done some interesting, some more dramatic roles recently too, which is interesting.
Yoke was saying in the chat, not everybody's heard of Second City. So just to debrief, as a Chicagoan,
yes.
So it is our very famous sort of comedy venue, and many great comedians sort of hone their craft there, and you can go to shows there. And there's there's actually like a school associated with it. And so, and then many of them graduated and went on to Saturday Night Live or other careers in theater. So, yeah.
Yeah. And the comedy they really specialize in is this ad lib at the moment thing, right?
Right.
They ask the audience. I've been to a couple Second City shows in Toronto. And they just ask the audience for something, you throw it out, and then they instantly, create a skit on the spot, and it's incredible.
Yeah. It's like, I think the premise is yes and. So whatever's tossed out to you, you have to say yes to it, and then take it further.
Yeah. So. Next is Tina Fey.
Oh, I love Tina Fey.
Yeah, she's great. An American actress, comedian, writer, producer. She worked on Saturday Night Live and 30 Rock. And she's done lots of other stuff since then. So because a lot of these are these profiles, the people are still alive. The profiles themselves on WikiTree are fairly, don't have a lot, but they do have links to their Wikipedia pages, which will give you lots more information and stuff. So I recommend you check that out too. Mike Myers, great Canadian, also born in the 60s. Anyways, this is a lovely profile. It talks about his character, his career. So I Married an Axe Murderer. I love that movie. I think that's hilarious. We often quote that, around, among the family when there's something like that, about someone with a big head, it's a virtual planetoid. And anyways, that's one of his favorite, our favorite. Of course, Austin Powers. Lots of people are familiar with those movies as well. But and he just shows up. He just shows up all over the place. It's, with these little, these caricatures of people that he portrays. And of course, Shrek, you know, he was the voice of Shrek. So great guy. And funny actor. Gilda Radner, again, another one who passed away way too soon.
Yeah.
She passed away at 42 of cancer, ovarian cancer. But she was on Saturday Night Live and had done lots of other stuff. I didn't realize she was married to Gene Wilder.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, she had married a guitarist first, G.E. Smith, and then later actor Gene Wilder. So I did not know that.
Yeah.
Who was Jerome Silberman, apparently before and he has since passed away. Martin Short, another Canadian.
My closest.
Is he your closest?
Although very, very, it's a convoluted.
A windy road.
Lots of color switching.
Yeah. He's done lots of stuff, of course. Lots of stuff in the Second City in Toronto. And then he was one of the founders, along with Eugene Levy and Dave Thomas, of the SCTV, Second City television program. Ed Grimley was one of the characters he portrayed there. Went to Saturday Night Live after. And the one he's done most recently, along with Steve Martin, is Only Murders in the Building. Have you seen that show?
No, I've never even heard of it.
Oh, you should watch it. It's quite funny. It's good. Okay. Like it's a mystery.
Okay.
But because Steve Martin and Martin Short and I'm blanking on, and there's a young woman who's also an actress and a singer whose name I'm blanking on, but someone in the chat will put it in there. The three of them are basically are the detectives, but with these characters, you know, there's going to be some humor involved as well. So it's quite neat. It's a neat show.
And what's it called again, Greg?
Only Murders in the Building.
Okay.
Because they want to, yeah, and they create a podcast about it. I mean, that's the premise, right? They're creating, because they're all fans of true crime podcasts, and they want to do one of their own. And they say, well, but we'll only do it if the murders happen in the building. And then, of course, there's a murder in the building.
Of course.
And then the last profile is Frederick Charles Willard Jr., who I recognize as Phil Dunphy's dad from Modern Family.
Oh, yes.
Yes. But he's done lots of stuff. This is Spinal Tap was one of his earliest ones. And he's in all those mockumentary films, Best in Show, A Mighty Wind, those kind of ones. Apparently he was in Everybody Loves Raymond as well, but don't know it. Anyways, lots of funny people. And thanks Awen for giving us this category where we got to talk about a lot of Canadians this week.
and I got out my Canada.
Oh, excellent.
Yes. Of all those Canadian comedians.
Selena Gomez. That's it. Selena Gomez is the third person who solves the murders in the building.
All right. See, I knew the chat.
I knew someone would, and I just, it was just, it's like you're reaching for it and it just goes farther and farther away. I can't grab that name.
Oh, okay. Well,
Over to you for a tip.
I'm over here.
You're over here. There we go.
I got a tip for us.
Okay.
So, Connectathon just happened. Yes. And many of us worked on our own CC7. Mm-hmm. And I thought it would be fun to show a way where you could visually see how much you had changed things. So this is from the presentation that I did for the We Will Rock You event. Now, John very graciously gave me permission to play around with his profile and his connections this morning. Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
So people were wondering, how did she do this? What's the app where you do the before and after? Well, it's really just Greg's 6 degrees app plus screenshotting.
Yes.
That's how I did it. So I'm going to show you how you can use Greg's app to zero in on a particular date. And also you can animate it and you can see like this whole like flurry of activity. So let me now go to, so the 6 Degrees app. Where do you find it? Let me go over here just so that I can make sure that I help you find it.
Okay.
My WikiTree. Okay. Are we seeing?
Yeah, I can see you're on the WikiTree homepage right
Good,
now.
good. Okay, so if you go under Find,
Yeah.
to Apps,
Mm-hmm.
and then go down to 6 Degrees,
There we go.
then it's going to take you there. And it's automatically going to work with you. Presumably, you're most interested in yourself, but you can change that. Like if when I did John's and the other
Mm-hmm.
people who got rocked, you just do this new ID.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like if you're working on a challenge and you want to
Right.
see how much we have impacted the person of interest, you would do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have preloaded John. Now what we want to do, let me stop that. Okay. So here's John.
We're still seeing your page.
Oh,
right.
sorry.
Nope, no problem.
I do it
There we
at
go.
least once.
There's John.
Yep,
Cool glasses, John.
There's John.
Cool shades.
Cool. Exactly. Okay. John, as his connections stand right now. So the cool thing that you can do, you can go under Show and you can animate connections. Okay. And then you're going to get these, they may pop up one by one, but I was already playing with this, so you're seeing all of them. I'll show you the pull down menu. You have a birth date, a live on date. So to do this, you want profile date. Greg, why do you want jumps? I remember. Yeah, tell me why.
Okay, so you can when you go from one screen or one screen to another, depending if you're going by, if you want to jump like say every 7 days or every 5 days or every, like if you want to change the interval so that it doesn't take forever, right? Like if you want to see how your profiles have changed over 5 years, you probably don't want to go 1 day at a time.
Right.
You might want to go, but 1 year at a time might be too much. So you might want to say like every 3 months or something like that. So it just to give you, every combination
right.
that you could possibly think of,
versatility and flexibility.
Yeah. If anything, I'm guilty of giving people too many choices in their apps. So my settings get so big, that it.
I think this works beautifully.
Yeah.
So you want by jumps. And then
now the interesting thing, because of the way you're sharing,
yeah,
those pop-ups that did you actually click on the thing? Because we can't see the list, the options. Like when you said you.
Oh yeah, I did. I think
it's because you're sharing just the tab or something. The pop-ups didn't show, but if you shared your whole.
Okay. Well.
You share your whole screen. Is that? Can you do that instead of just the window?
I don't know how to do that. Wouldn't I have to like back out and?
Yes, you would have to back out, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if it's okay with everybody.
Okay. When she's clicking on there are options that pop down.
Yeah, with the little arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to let you know that.
Right. We're talking. And so there's an option to go by jumps or continuously. So you want by jumps. And then here's where you say, now I'm looking at a relatively short, window of time. So I'm going to say every 1 day, starting June. Now, this is a little quirk here.
It is a bit of a quirk, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm going to go back. So John, I believe, increased his CC7 quite a lot. During the thon as well.
There's June 1st right there.
There's June 1st. And for some reason, I don't get to May 31st, but I do if I go that. You just have to play around with these little.
I know why that logic is, because if you're in June only has 30 days, so you go back. It still takes June has 30 days, but it doesn't realize.
Now, here's the thing. If I had said May 1st and then I progressed to June, would it?
You would get April 31st if you went backwards. I bet.
That's funny.
Okay, there's a bug.
So So here's John, with significantly fewer connections
Yes.
on May 31st, right before we started rocking him. So we're
Mm-hmm.
going to show through animation the combined effect of the rocking and then John's own efforts during last weekend's thons. So are you ready? Are you ready?
We're ready. We're ready.
Okay, I'm going to hit that green arrow.
Yeah. Look at that. Oh, filling in, filling in. Okay. So
And
there's
what you see up above.
Oh, there we go.
We're coming up to the thon. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, look what John did.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wow. Boom.
We're into August, of course. We're in the future, but
Oh, we're in the future. Oh,
I'm sure that it'll be even denser by August.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
So that's the tip of the week.
Very cool.
Thank you, Greg, for this amazing app. I love this.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun to make. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think at some point, I'm not sure when, because I'm working on another app right now, which is in the very early stages, but we've already gone a bit over them. So I'm not going to show you that now because I could, and it would just.
What's 11 minutes, Greg?
Yeah, I know.
Totally on time for us.
Totally on time. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but at some point, okay, I'm intending to take the circles, that part of the 6 Degrees app, and incorporate it into the CC7 app that's now in the Tree apps, as an alternate view. I mean, there's all the CC7 app that's in the Tree apps now is amazing. And again, that was another thing that Sandy showed off. Sandy and Jamie showed off yesterday in the bingo. So again, I recommend strongly that you go have a look at that. So that's been done really well. But I'm thinking of adding a little button there for the circles view and to incorporate those features. But that's not right away. So okay, in the future at some point.
We'll be eagerly awaiting that.
Yeah. But we do have some photos. So let me just go through it because there's only a few actually. 12 months of photos, and the theme for July is military, police, and firefighters. So this is a new one that's been added here, Frederick Benwell. Let me just go to the images page. Frederick Benwell has been added, and there's more details about him in the GGG post, so I'm going to switch to that shortly. And then Roger Ray White. I don't remember if he was in the last time we talked about photos.
I don't recognize that one. I mean, it's been 2 weeks, but
it's been 2 weeks, yeah. But I do remember seeing this one.
Yes,
showing off that one. So those are the two that showed up in the free space page. But let's go over to the G2G post. So here we have these, and this is in the chronological. So Alexis showed off this one, and we saw that, and this is from Halloween Chestnut, and I think we saw this one before, and we definitely saw the three brothers, and we saw the soldier with
where we couldn't figure out the relationship.
That's right. Yep. So here we have John Thompson contributed this, and this is his great grandfather, Lieutenant Colonel Frederick William Benwell, and it comes from a military family. So this is the great grandfather, Lieutenant Frederick William Benwell. His father was Colonel James Benwell, and the grandfather was Major General Sir James Limond CB, all serving in India.
Wow, that's a chain, a legacy chain.
Yeah. So that's very impressive. And Alexis, not only does she share lots of photos, but she also comments and gives people, encouraging comments. So that's very impressive. Thanks, Alexis. And then Dee didn't share the photo here, but she did comment about a profile of her grandfather, Lonnie. And so I opened up his page, and here he is, Lonnie Addison Spencer.
And this is one of the profiles she referenced.
Yes.
The question of the week. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you didn't show this profile when you talked about it.
No, I didn't go to her. No, I didn't.
Yeah. But born in January 1904 in Illinois and passed away in 1977 in Milwaukee, where he served as a detective. And so he came to Milwaukee as a boy, attended the high school there, played in the piano and banjo. So he's a musician. another musician, Betsy.
Ah, nice.
But his career, he was the first African American to be promoted to be promoted to detective, along with his partner, in the history of the Milwaukee City Police Department. So that's pretty impressive. He walked the beat for years, starting as a rookie, working graveyard shifts, and being a Negro officer in the 40s and 60s, he was called upon to arrest many white people. Never once had his authority being questioned because of his race. It was said he was reserved, modest, speaking flawless English with hard, clear diction, and taking keen interest in the department, which has served for so many years. He passed away in Lincoln in 1977. So
I'm glad you showed that. As I said, these profiles, she's worked very hard on.
Very hard. Like, look at this
picture.
I love it to see the the progression through the years. Yeah, well deserved. And then now this, I don't remember seeing this one. This photo was provided by a friend. I worked on her family history. It's her husband's great-grandfather, born in 1862, and he also served in India. Neat.
I like it.
Yeah. And this photo was of my first cousin. So this is Sally Kimball. 3 days ago, uploaded this one. This is a photo of her first cousin, twice removed, Roger Ray White. He served in World War II. He won a Bronze Star, but haven't been able to get to the library to get Unfold 3 and see if she can verify that. So that would be neat if you can find that record. I don't know the meaning of the items he's wearing on his cap and on his jacket. I did have to figure out how to get the photo that was already on WikiTree, add it to the free space page. So that's, there you go. And I saw someone mentioned, I'm going to, there he is. I'll learn how to add a photo today. Dee said this. I'll learn how to add a photo today with Betsy Coe. You got a shout out here.
Nice.
Oh, because she made the profile, but she didn't add the photo here. But now now that she's learned how to add it, she added it to the profile. You could go back, Dee, and add it to the G2G post too.
Yeah, that's tricky.
It's tricky to do that.
Well, to add a photo to the G2G post, it's just a little fussy.
It is fussy.
It was one of my early tips of the week, but maybe at some point we'll revisit it.
Well, you know what? A tweak on that is how to add a photo after the fact, like going into edit mode.
Yeah.
Right? Like instead of just adding, like, I think you showed how to add it when you first create the post.
Yes.
Maybe to go back and to update.
Oh,
like really? Updating a G2G post.
Yeah.
Again,
okay. Well, let me play with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, those are the photos of the week.
Greg, we have a question.
Oh, we do?
Yes. There. Do you know?
Ooh. Okay. There's no person data at all. Okay, so that is a bug. And if you're getting that error message, that means the program has crashed without it. Yeah, it shouldn't do that. It should work. It should realize that's a case and just go on instead of and quietly go on and crash. Now, sometimes that happens if there's a privacy issue in terms, like if the profiles you're trying to find are not marked, if they're not public, then sometimes that will happen. So if you can send me a private message of where you started, if it's your own, then but I don't know what if you give me your WikiTree ID, then I can check it out on my end and see.
Yeah. Can I share your ID, Greg?
What's that?
Can I share your ID?
Yeah, you can share mine. Yeah, no problem.
So that you can send you.
Yeah.
So just send Greg a private message there.
11007.
Makes you sound like James Bond. So.
Exactly. That's exactly why I love it. But you know what's also cool? So I think I told you a few weeks ago, I created a profile for my adoptive self. I put my biological family on the 11007 because that's why I came to WikiTree, is I needed a place to start my brand new biological family tree.
Right.
But I finally created a profile for myself for my adoptive self, for my Clarks, the Clarks and the McIsaacs that I grew up with. And look what number they gave me. They gave me 23588, which is the Fibonacci, the first 2358. That's the Fibonacci sequence. Isn't that amazing? So 2358 are Fibonacci's numbers, and then just like 007, I have a double digit in my. I've got double digits here, and 88 piano keys. Like, it's like WikiTree knew that I wanted that number.
Yes, that is the mathematics.
That is the best.
Number gods have smiled on you.
They have. Anyways, there's your mathing for today.
Yes. Let you go without mathing.
Exactly.
Nor could we let you go without letting you know what's coming up the rest of this month. So we do have one more Saturday in July. So keep those military photos coming. We would love to look at them next week. We're still celebrating Ancestors with a link to July. There's a G2G post on that.
I didn't do any of those.
Oh, please. Yeah. Just go to your watch list, find somebody with something special happening in July, and tell us about them. So here we've got our Eowyn's amazing calendar. What's happening in July? It's a G2G post. Let's see what's happening this week. Sourcing sprint going on this weekend. The Germany project is, I think this is either a Discord or a Zoom project. I'm not sure.
I think the Stammtisch is their chat session.
Yeah. So if you have an interest in German research, they're very knowledgeable and helpful. Friday date night is coming up this coming Friday. Find some profiles, a date, and then of course we'll be back next Saturday.
We will. With Mags, hopefully.
With Mags, yes. And then here on the social media calendar, we've got you can get a feel for One Name Tuesday is going to feature the Klezi surname, and then One Place Wednesday. Take it away, Greg.
One Place Mahat Lor Roscommon.
Yes, in Ireland.
John, how'd I do?
John, I nearly sent you a message right before we went on and said, please send me a voice, like a recording, how to say this. And then, our connection finder, Benedetto 17. Tony Bennett. Oh, yes.
Tony Bennett, passed away yesterday.
Yeah. So, any of these that you want to share on your social media, Azure's made it super easy to share the links and, spread the word about what we're doing.
Excellent.
Oh, and yes, Susan reminds everybody to hit the like button. Thank you, Susan. Please hit the like button.
Hit the like button.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, this was fun, Betsy.
Yeah.
We made it all in, under an hour and a half.
Yeah, I know. Good for us.
I know. We would have come closer if I had only done 1 week's worth of profiles, but they were such good ones. I thought, we needed to squeeze the other ones in. So.
I always feel like when we have a thon, the thon is super fun, but then all that great content gets missed. So I'm glad you showed them.
That's right. Plus, people are used to having, seeing some type of live cast or get together every 4 hours. So, they might have been going into withdrawals. So they might have needed an extra long live cast to, fill that gap.
That's right.
So we can wean them off, seeing us so often.
We're here for you.
We're here for you. And that's our excuse. Anyways, have a great day, everyone.
All right. Yes. And thank you to everybody who is watching afterwards. And everybody have a great WikiTree week.